the top 10 global issues and how they can be addressed. Here is the list of the top 10 global issues. Water contamination and shortage, first issue. The relationship between education and child labor, second issue. Violence, third issue. Poverty, fourth issue. Inequality, fifth issue. Terrorism, sixth issue. Child marriages, seventh issue. Substance abuse, eighth issue. Unemployment, ninth issue. Government corruption, 10th issue. How they can be addressed. 1. Water contamination and shortage. 2.1 billion people in countries undergoing urbanization have inaccessibility to clean drinking water as a result of pollution, poverty, and poor management of resources. Water resources are depleted by agriculture and industry energy production. To put into perspective, agriculture accounts for 70% of the reduction of water around the world, with 75% of a given country's water used for this purpose and depleted by contamination. How to address. Here's a list of water pollution solutions. Wastewater treatment, green agriculture, stormwater management, air pollution prevention, plastic waste reduction, water conservation. 2. The relationship between education and child labor. Despite a surge in funding for some countries and increasing attention through social media, education continues to be a luxury around the globe. Reasons include gender preferences and poverty, and child labor, the use of children in industry. Therefore, it's most challenging to bring education to sub-Saharan Africa, where the rates of children enrolled in primary education continue to stagger. In addition, fewer students successfully complete secondary education here. How to address. Experience shows that a combination of economic growth, respect for labor standards, universal education, and social protection, together with a better understanding of the needs and rights of children, can bring about a significant reduction in child labor. Child labor is a stubborn problem that, even if overcome in certain places or sectors, will seek out opportunities to reappear in new and often unanticipated ways. The response to the problem must be as versatile and adaptable as child labor itself. 3. Violence. Violence is a global issue that exists in all shapes and sizes. Violence can be done towards a particular group like women or LGBTQ+ members, or it is an act that can be a result of a mentally disturbed mind. There is also violence in response to economic stress. All these varying forms of violence lead to attention on the safety and prevention of such acts. How to address. Strategies for the prevention of violence and crime need to operate at different levels of the ecological model to sustainably reduce risk factors that promote violence or to strengthen protective factors that help prevent it. Such strategies should aim to discourage the emergence of violence, while also to confronting existing violence. International organizations such as the WHO, the World Bank, the United Nations Development Programme, and UNHABITAT generally categorize their measures according to the level or stage and to the types of preventive action. 4. Poverty. In 2015, the international poverty line was set to $1.9. This number means that a person is living in extreme poverty if they live below this line. According to this set line, more than 1.3 billion people are living in this extreme worldwide. This fact suggests that 1.3 billion people have difficulty obtaining food and shelter, regardless of the availability of homeless shelters and organizations. Current questions or topics to explore in an essay or research would be the cause of variation in wages on the international level, and the nature and initiatives that can be taken to solve this global issue at large. How to address. Effective 10 ways to reduce poverty in the world. 1. Develop and implement rapid and sustained economic growth policies and programs. 2. Improve management of water and other natural resources. 3. Invest in and implement agricultural programs. 4. Encourage countries to engage in trade as a path out of poverty. 5. Create and improve access to jobs. 6. Providing all people with access to basic social services. 7. Progressively developing social protection systems. 8. Empower people living in poverty. 9. Remove barriers. 10. Provide access to technology and innovation. 5. Inequality. On a global scale, the focus on inequality tends to be in terms of the distribution of wealth. According to a global wealth report, 44% of global net worth is held by only 7% of adults. This suggests that there is a significant division between economic classes around the world. Recently, research has shown the effects that this economic divide has on communities, particularly in health, social relationships, development, and stability. How to address the reform of tax and benefit policies is also central to our goals. Over the last 2 decades, many countries moved away from highly progressive income tax rates and net wealth taxes. Viable and effective policy avenues do exist, such as raising marginal tax rates on the highest income brackets, improving tax compliance, eliminating tax exemptions, and reassessing the role of property and wealth taxes. We need to urgently focus on creating more and better jobs and on offering real career prospects for these youth. We must, for example, focus on upskilling the workforce and removing barriers to higher labor force participation of women, thereby strengthening gender equality. 6. Terrorism. Terrorism, like the bombing incidents of the last few years, continue to claim the lives of innocents. It is a threat to the peace, security, and stability of the world. So terrorism prevention methods have been implemented to illustrate what is wrong and should be or could be done to uphold justice. However, the basis of the threats, mindsets, and the successes or failures of response efforts still need to be evaluated. How to address. Given the complexity, strong coordination and cooperation within national governments and between states and organizations at the regional and international level is essential to effectively combat terrorism. Moreover, the ability to successfully address the challenges depends on the capacity of national criminal justice systems to administer fair and effective justice for perpetrators of terrorist crimes and to undertake effective preventive measures in accordance with the rule of law. ANAC provides assistance through strengthening legislative and policy frameworks, enhancing knowledge and skills to investigate and prosecute cases, enhancing mechanisms for regional and international cooperation. Child marriages. Child marriages are defined as the union between one or two individuals under the age of 18. 1 in 5 girls are married before the age of 18, and child marriage prevent children from becoming educated, can lead to severe health consequences and increased risk of violence. Legislation and programs were established in order to educate and employ children in these situations, as child marriages do not have enough awareness on individual involvement or emphasis on the common causes for these marriages. How to address. Our programs draw on robust evidence, informed by the views of marginalized girls and boys, to empower communities and strengthen the systems that act as a safeguard against child marriages, such as education and social protection. Our work covers 5 key areas: support for development and participation of adolescent girls, strengthening legal systems to protect the rights of adolescent girls and boys, carrying out cutting-edge research to build a robust evidence base for advocacy, policies, programs, and tracking progress. 8. Substance abuse. The United Nations reports that, by the beginning of the 21st century, an estimated 185 million people over the age of 15 were consuming drugs globally. The drugs most commonly used are marijuana, cocaine, alcohol, amphetamine stimulants, opiates, and volatile solvents. Different classes of people, both poor and rich, partake in substance abuse, and it is a persistent issue through the world. Petitions and projects are in progress to end the global issue of substance abuse. How to address. Core components of evidence-based prevention programs. Structure refers to the following elements of a prevention program. Program type. School and family-based programs are program types that have been shown to be effective in preventing drug abuse. Audience. Programs are usually designed for a particular audience to more effectively meet its needs. Setting. Programs are traditionally designed to reach an audience in its primary setting. The elements of a program's content should include the following. Information. Information can include facts about drug laws and policies, and drugs and their effects. Skills development. Training to develop skills helps to build and improve behavior. Strategies. Some prevention programs are targeted at structural change. Services. Examples of services a program provides might include school, peer, or family counseling, drug-free zones, and health care. 9. Unemployment. Without the necessary education and skills for employment, many people, particularly 15-24 years old, struggle to find jobs and create a proper living for themselves and their families. This leads to a lack of necessary resources, such as enough food, clothing, transportation, and proper living conditions. Fortunately, there are organizations throughout the world teaching people in need the skills for jobs and interviewing, helping to lift people from the vicious cycle of poverty. How to address. The nation, thus, has a serious, persistent jobs and unemployment problem that will not go away on its own and should be addressed in two ways. First, we need to cushion the impact of this recession on those directly affected. Second, we need to generate growth by stimulating demand, that is, by creating more customers for business. The fastest, most effective way to do this is by boosting government spending quickly and for the next year or so. Extending unemployment insurance and improving the unemployment insurance system will both assist those in need and stimulate demand quickly. 10. Government corruption. Corruption is a major cause of poverty considering how it affects the poor most, eroding political and economic development, democracy, and more. Corruption can be detrimental to the safety and well-being of citizens living within the corrupted vicinity, and can cause an increase in violence and physical threats without as much regulation in the government. How to address. The World Bank Group's approach to fighting corruption combines a proactive policy of anticipating and managing risks in its own projects. The bank group subjects all potential projects to rigorous scrutiny and works with clients to reduce possible corruption risks that have been identified. The bank group's independent sanctions system includes the Integrity Vice Presidency, which is responsible for investigating allegations of fraud and corruption in World Bank-funded projects. Public complaint mechanisms are built into projects to encourage and empower oversight, and projects are actively supervised during implementation. When approaching anti-corruption at the country level, it is important to put in place institutional systems and incentives to prevent corruption from occurring in the first place. Prevention also calls for credible deterrence, relying on accountability and enforcement mechanisms sufficiently strong to send a message to potential wrongdoers of the potential cost of their misconduct. At the same time, we must recognize that the local political and social context influences both the level of corruption and the reform approaches likely to meet with success or failure. There has been increasing progress towards solving the global issues. However, for some, this progress is too slow due to lack of understanding of preventative methods, diffusion of responsibility, and unanswered questions. These global issue topics, foresays, and research papers can be used as a starting point to give more insight to others into the issues and how to get involved. Stephanie Singh. With so many current global issues that require immediate attention, it is easy to get discouraged. However, the amount of progress that organizations have made in combating these problems is admirable, and the world will continue to improve in the years to come. By staying active in current events and standing up for the health and safety of all humans, everyone is able to make a difference in changing the fate of our world. Chloe Turner. The end. Thank you for listening.